Okay, cool. Are we good? Nobody dropped anything in the chat box, or just I can't see it. Okay, I can see threes now. Sorry, guys. Apologies. All right, awesome. So that is why, I do love doing this course. I love doing the beginners and the foundational stuff. Now, if this is your first time seeing me, okay, this is actually designed as a 4-week course, and each week we're kind of building on the week before and introducing new topics. Okay, so last week was week one. We went over, what actually is Forex, so what are we actually doing as Forex traders? Different times to trade, like understanding when sessions are open, what spread hour is. We spend a lot of time on trading psychology, which is the most important part of trading for me. I know I can see Dennis on here. I think I saw Dan on here as well, who obviously are amazing traders within our platform. And I think they'll agree with me when they say, overcoming your mindset when it comes to trading beats anything else. Like you could have a killer strategy, you could have the best scanner in the world that's like 90% accurate. If your mindset isn't right, you're still going to lose, probably. You're still going to get yourself into situations that you shouldn't. Okay, so we spent a lot of time talking about our trading psychology, how to improve it. Now, this week, we're going to go through taking trade ideas effectively. So, particularly our PV insights. So, I really kind of want to break down how you're going to go about, first of all, managing your risk. Okay, when it comes to taking our trade ideas, but also just the best way to approach them. Because again, I recognize as a beginner, that Telegram group can be a little bit overwhelming, right? You've got a lot of messages coming in, a lot of trades coming in, and as a beginner, that probably seems like gibberish at first. And I get asked a lot, well, how do I set 5 TPs on one trade? Because there's 5 TPs. You can't. So obviously you have to be able to manage different entries. So we're going to talk about that today. Um, Spending a lot of time on our risk management, how to use a risk calculator. Okay. And then we're really going to go into detail on MetaTrader 5 as well. Now, I'm not going to spend quite as much time on this because we now actually have MetaTrader 5 tutorials. There wasn't, a month ago. So I'm not going to spend as much on there, but I'm going to point you guys in the direction of that as well so you can go back through it. Okay, so let's get into the training at hand. Now, we actually just had, I'm probably going to use the signal we just had as an example. Okay, but first things first, okay, when a new trade gets sent, okay, so we just had one, I think like 5, 10 minutes ago, right before this call. So the first thing you need to do is you need to check price. Okay, especially if it's gold. Gold can move so quickly that by the time you have seen the signal, gone to your phone, opened up your MetaTrader 5, that baby could be gone. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is actually check your MetaTrader 5 chart, look at where price is. If it is not within the entry zone, leave it alone. Okay, if it is already moved in profit, okay, this one actually I can just see it's just hit a couple TPs, so we're gonna actually look at that. But if it's already moved, just leave it alone. We get more than enough trade ideas in a day. You don't need to be chasing trades. Okay, so that's the first thing that you're gonna do. And I probably will actually bring up my MetaTrader 5 so we can actually go through and look at the chart together and break down how to actually check the chart properly. Okay, the second thing you're going to do, and I'm going to come over to the risk calculator for this, if we're within the entry zone, you obviously can now go ahead and execute your trade or set up a pending order if the trade specifies. Okay, now what I'm about to share, it's not financial advice. Everybody is going to approach taking trade ideas, particularly our signals differently, but this is just a potential way to approach it. Okay, the first thing you need to do is you need to determine how much you're willing to risk on that particular trade idea. Okay, so for example, if you're okay with risking 2% of your account, okay, and I'm actually going to show you how to work that out. You might then want to split your lot sizes across a couple different entries so that way you're able to target different take profits. Now, I've just put over there on the right-hand side with our particular trades, TP1 and TP2 are designed for closing part of your trade, securing some of your profits, but really you want to be ultimately targeting the higher TPs because long term, that's going to give you the best risk to reward. Okay. If you can work on your patience and holding to TP4, TP5, I think there was a TP5 last week that hit that was like 1100 pips, right? Which is crazy. Now, for those of you who were on last week, if you risked just a 0.01 and you held on for 1100 pips, how much money would you have made? Somebody tell me, because I just want to make a point here with this. Who can tell me if you were on last week, you should hopefully know a 0.01 means we're risking 10 cents per pip, lowest possible risk. There we go. You guys have $110 on a 0.01. Okay, so there is like with our trade providers, some of those TP4s and TP5s, they're huge. Like that would have been, if it was 100 pip stop loss, for example, that's like a 1 to 10 risk to reward. Okay, so ideally, not every trade, of course, is going to go to all of the higher TPs, but if you get in the habit of taking partials or closing some smaller entries at TP1, TP2, bagging yourself some profit, but leaving entries to run for the longer term, then over a week, a month, 6 months, your risk to reward, there's again, I'm not gonna put any guarantees here, but it's pretty difficult not to be profitable if you're doing that, right? Unless your mindset isn't right and you're jumping in and chasing trades and, not doing the right thing. Okay, so let me actually show you, like, in practicality, what does that look like? Because you're probably thinking, well, how do I split my risk? What exactly do I do? So what you're going to do, and I would highly suggest doing this tonight before we even see the next signal, because you can already work out a plan for what you're going to risk, what lot sizes you're going to take before we even see a signal. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to come onto Primeverse, and down here at the bottom, there is a lot size calculator. Okay, so this is going to allow you, right, to determine, exactly what lot size you can take for your account size, right? So let's say, for example, you have $1,000 in your account. Okay, you can obviously put, whatever your balance is. With gold, if you have less than $250, like, I mean, even less than $100. Do you know what? Let me finish my example first, and then we'll talk about it. Okay. So let's say you have $1,000, okay, and you're okay with risking 2% of your account in one particular trade idea. Okay, so I would go ahead and I would click 2%. Did that click 2%? I'll just drag it over. No, that's 5. Hold on a minute here. Okay, 2%. Sorry, I actually didn't realize you could drag that. I just learned something new. Okay, so 2%, and you're going to put in how big the stop loss is. Well, let me just look at the signal that we had just gotten. So, oh, sent from DV Trades. Funny that. I think he's actually on this call. So you can thank him for making you 210 pips. Okay, cool. So the stop loss was 60 pips, right? And if you held on to TP5, 210 pips, I'm not very good at math, but that's like a 1 to 4 almost risk to reward if you had a held on. Okay, so you would put in here 60 pips. Okay, now if you've been taking the trades for a few days, a week, you'll start to see that the stop loss size is the same for most of our traders. Okay, so DV Trades is usually 60 pips, D Trades is usually 60 pips, G Wolf FX Edge is usually around 100 pips. So you can already kind of calculate, okay, if DV Trades send a signal, these are going to be the lot sizes I take. If G Wolf sends a signal, because the stop loss is slightly bigger, but the targets are usually bigger as well, this is the lot size I'm going to take. Okay, so what you would do, go ahead and click calculate. Okay, so very simple. You just put your account balance, how much you're willing to risk, and the stop loss, right? If I now scroll down, it's showing me, okay, 2% of 1,000 is $20. This trade goes and hits stop loss, I'm going to lose $20, okay? And I can take 0.03, okay? Now, there's 5 different take profits. So what you can now do, if I just come back over, and again, everyone's going to be slightly different, okay? But what I could do is I could have potentially 3 different entries. I could have one that comes out at TP1 because let's be real, if it goes in the right direction, TP1's going to get hit quick. With gold, if it goes in the right direction, TP1's going to get hit. So that's a way for you to bank some profit. Okay, you're securing some profit and you now have two entries left open. Okay, now this one, you could have it at TP2, TP3, like it's totally up to you. But the purpose for TP1 and TP2 is to allow you to secure some profit, okay, but have at least one entry where you run to the higher take profits, your TP4s, your TP5s, because again, that's going to give you the best risk to reward. So that told us I could take a 0.03, right? I'm just trying to type that out. So my first entry, I could just split that into three. I could have 0.01 here, 0.01 here, and 0.01 here. Now, obviously, if you have a bigger account size, that's going to give you the ability to take bigger lot sizes. If you have a smaller account, okay, again, with gold, if you've got less than 500, you just kind of need to be okay with the fact that you're going to be risking more than like 1 to 2% of your account. Like, unless you just take the one entry and you are very disciplined, you set TP5 and just keep moving your stop loss behind you. Okay, that is one way to approach it if you want to be very strict with your trading plan. But the smaller accounts, $100, $200, just it doesn't really matter what you do, you're going to be risking more. So you just need to work on building up your account, compounding so that you can get to bigger numbers where you can kind of safely risk, your 2%, 3% per trade kind of thing. Okay? Guys, drop a one if that makes sense. I know I'm talking really fast. It's a Canadian thing, it's a teacher thing, but drop a one if that makes sense. Okay? Okay. If there's any questions, please speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, but hopefully that makes sense. So it's now down to you to go over to the risk calculator, and every single one of you have access to it. Where did that just go? There we go. Okay, and work out what an appropriate risk for you would be. Okay, and I would just play around with it. Okay, if it's a G-Wolf signal and it's 100 pip stop loss, and I click calculate, well, now I can only risk a 0.02. So if I want to stick to three entries, I might just maybe risk 3% on a G-Wolf signal. Okay, I'm risking a little bit more, but I can still stick with my 0.03. Okay, so just kind of play around with it. But one of the things I would highly suggest, if I just come back over here, whatever you decide to do, as in how many entries you're going to take, how much you're going to risk, I've put there however many entries you decide, keep it consistent. Right? When it comes to trading, consistent, boring behaviors is usually what makes you the most profitable and makes you the most money because you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. Okay? You want to get yourself to the point where it comes to trading, you're like a robot. Okay? And I gave the example last week of driving. Okay? When it comes to driving, most of us, right, when we're 16 years old and we're just going for our driver's license, like we're kind of scared shitless behind the wheel. We have to really be actively thinking about what we're doing. Okay, now I click my single, I'm gonna change lanes. Let me, look over my shoulder. Like you have to really, really think about it. Okay, and that's what it's gonna be like trading in the beginning, right? You have to really, really think about, okay, oh, I gotta hit the sell button. Let me check my chart. Let me, make sure I got the right lot size, and that's okay, right? That's part of the learning process. But you want to get to the point where now, I'll probably show my age, but like I've been driving for over 20 years. So I'm at the point now where I could drive for an hour and pull into like wherever I'm going and be like, oh shit, like how did I even get here? Because I'm just on autopilot, right? I don't know. Sometimes you get listening to music and you just, the time just goes because you've obviously been doing something for so long, it just becomes, you know, consistent or regular, whatever you want to say. Okay, so whatever you decide to do, just keep it consistent. Now, again, this is just a suggestion. Okay, it's completely up to you how you manage your trades, but I am a very firm believer in protecting my profits and preserving my capital. So for me, once a trade hits TP1, that's a winning trade, right? Like if it hits TP1, I've either closed one of my entries or I've taken partial profits. So what is the natural thing for me to do? It's now protect the rest of my equity. So what I personally do, right, especially with the gold trades, because, gold can move quite quickly. So sometimes it might hit TP2 or sorry, TP1 and then reverse and go towards stop loss price. So what I usually do if it hits TP1, I'll have closed an entry. If it's progressing towards TP2, I will move my stop loss to break even. So if I have two entries left open, I want to make sure that doesn't reverse on me and take me out in a loss. Now, what could happen? It could maybe wick back to entry, take you out, and then fly and hit TP5. It happens. And yes, that is probably going to be a kick in the teeth because you'll look and be like, oh my God, if I hadn't been at break even, I would have just made all this money. But what happens to the time when it hits TP1, reverses, and hits stop loss? You're going to be mad at yourself that you didn't go break even. So again, whatever you decide to do, I know some people who wait till TP2 then they break even because they're giving the trade a little bit more room to play out. Okay. But whatever you decide to do, just keep it consistent. I personally hits TP1. I move my stop loss to break even and I can just go about my day knowing that that trade's completely risk free now. Okay. Now, something else I would also suggest, again, if you're wanting to try and secure profits as you go, as the trade continues to go into profit, and obviously once we have, Prime Sync fully up and running, there is a function that will auto trail our stop loss, which I'm super excited about. Okay, but for right now, right, if a trade goes on to hit TP3, I've still got some entries open. I might move my stop loss behind me to TP1 price or TP2 price. So that way, as the trade is progressing, even if it now reverses, I'm kind of guaranteeing myself some profit, even if it goes back and turns in the other direction. Okay, now when I go on to my MetaTrader 5, I will show you how to do that if you're not sure. Okay, but before we move on, okay, I want us to actually look at that trade that was just sent out because if you hadn't kind of looked at the chart, you might not have known that you could have set that up as a pending order. Okay, so we have two different types of trades, market execution, which means you are entering the market immediately, right, at the given price. So I've put there in brackets a lot of our signals, not all, but a lot of our signals are market execution unless it's been stated otherwise. So we'll have some where it'll say buy limit or sell limit. Okay, and then we have pending orders, which is where you're waiting for the market to come to entry price. It's just not ready to take yet. So you can set it up ahead of time. Now, there's two different types of pending orders as well. You've got limit orders and stop orders. I'm going to draw this out in a second as well, because again, this was all gibberish to me when I first started trading. Now, I've put buy stop and sell stop in red simply because we do not see these a lot in the signal group. So, I mean, I don't even think I can't even remember the last time I set a stop order, like probably like 3 years ago. It's been a long time. Not to say that we won't ever get them, all right, but just so you guys know that we don't get them as frequently. Okay, so I'm just going to stop sharing this screen and I'm going to share my whiteboard so I can actually explain to you the difference between these pending orders and why that's going to matter when it comes to the signals. Because actually, the signal that we just got from Dan, you could have waited for price to come down to the entry price and then market executed, but I was about to actually come onto this session and it wasn't at entry price yet, so I set a pending order. So I'm going to show you why I did that. Now, if you're on a phone, if you could avoid tapping the screen because you're drawing on it, you may not be doing it on purpose, but now that I'm verbally telling you not to touch your screen, if you draw on it again, I'll remove you. This is your friendly teacherly warning. Okay, so Eli, if you're not aware, your little mouse there is on the screen. When it's on a phone, I know it's hard because you're like obviously touching your screen. Okay, but please avoid touching the screen. Okay, so cool. First things first. And let's start with limit orders because that's what we use the most. Okay, for me, and this I don't even think is like the actual definition, but the easiest way for me to remember limit orders is that price is going, or rather, sorry, when trade is sent, price is going in the opposite direction. Okay, now that probably seems like, what the heck is she talking about? I'm going to show you, and it's going to make perfect sense. Okay, so if, let's say, actually, Dan, what was your entry? It was like 48, uh, 46.85. Okay, cool. So let's say we're going to use that trade as an example. Sorry, maybe people don't know that. I'm totally calling you out. So 46.85 was the entry to 46.87. Okay, it was a buy, meaning, right? We obviously want to see, for this trade to be profitable, we want to see the market go up. However, when that trade was sent, price was at around like 49, or not 49, 46.90 something. That's when I first saw it, when it just got sent. Okay, so it was at, I think it was at like 40. Oh, why do I keep doing that? My brain. 46.6 is what I'm trying to do, like 92. Okay, so clearly this price is actually above. So we need to see the market come down to hit the entry price and then go up. Okay, so again, I'm going to explain this again because it's a little bit confusing. So a limit order, if it's a buy, market's actually going to be moving down. And we want the market to move down, touch our entry price, and then go in our buy direction. Now, the opposite would be true for a sell. Okay, so let's say we were taking a sell and our entry was at 40, whatever, I'm just going to make it up here, 49.25. Okay, but market is actually at 4,900. Even though we're looking for a sell, we need to have the market come up to our entry price. It will activate our trade here, and then we want it to sell down. Okay? Drop a 1 if that makes sense. Okay, so even though we want to sell, we need to see the market actually come up first, touch our entry, and then sell down. Now, obviously, it's not going to maybe happen like that immediately. And this is where, as a beginner, it's important not to just sit and watch your MetaTrader 5. Because what will often happen is our amazing signal providers, depending, they're all using different strategies, they all have different ways that they trade, but whatever price they have given us, for them, depending on their signal, right, for them, it's a point of interest. It could be that it's a level of support or a level of resistance. It could be that, I don't know, it's in an order block, right? Whatever the case may be, maybe, I don't know, there's a fair value gap, whatever. Okay. Now, what tends to happen in these areas, it's not just going to automatically hit it and bounce off. It might actually test that area first. So what sometimes happens is you'll go into negative, and then maybe your MT5 is blue, and then it goes red, and then it goes blue, and then it goes red, before hopefully, finally making its move down. But as a beginner, for me, I don't know about you guys, but this was always the most stressful part. I'll look at my MT5 and it's like red, and then it goes blue, so I'm happy again, and then it goes red, and then I'm like, oh my God, and then it goes blue. Can anyone relate? Especially if you're new, can you relate to having a bit of a panic every time you see red on your MetaTrader 5? If you don't put yes, I know you're lying. I know you're lying. Yeah. So this is where, again, the psychology comes in. That becomes important. Okay, but also at this point, just put your phone down. It's either going to go into profit, and when you see the Telegram notification pop up that says TP1 hit, yay, happy days, then you can get your MT5 out if you're wanting to maybe move your stop loss to break even. But otherwise, put your phone down. It's either going to go hit the TP or it's going to hit stop loss. Okay, so those are limit orders. Now, let me quickly explain stop orders in case you ever, you ever get one. Okay, but stop orders, the easiest way to explain a stop order is basically it's like a bus. Okay, so stop orders, trade, or rather market is already moving in the direction of the trade. For example, if we got a buy stop, okay, so let me type that out. I'm not going to try and there. If we got a buy stop, and the price was whatever, let's say it was the trade we just got. Okay, let's say it was at 46.85. Okay, this is where 46.85 is. Market is already going to be moving up. We just want it to tap that and keep going. So it's like a bus stop. Okay, the bus is already moving along this side of the road. We just want it to pick us up and keep going. Okay, same thing for a sell stop. Okay, market is already going to be selling down. We just want it to activate and pick us up on the way down. Okay, so stop orders are super, super easy. But where this becomes important, especially when it comes to taking signals, okay, let's say, I need to get rid of some of these drawings. Let me come down here. Okay, so let's say that trade we were just given, actually, let me come back up here. Okay, so like I said, the entry was 46.85 to 46.87, but when it was first sent, price was slightly higher than that. Okay, so what you don't want to do is jump into a buy straight away. Okay, because who can tell me how many pips, if I jumped in at 46.92 and I didn't look at my chart and the entry was 46.87, how many pips difference is that? Who knows how to calculate pips with gold? So 46.92 to 46.87. It's not 70. 85 would be 70. No. So with gold, all you do, okay, let's say I was at 46.92, entry was 46.87. What is 92 minus 87? Okay, I'm starting to see the right answer. But just for the beginners, what is 92? We're going back to like old school maths here. It is 5. Okay, good. Okay, we're left with 5. But with gold, you add a 0. So that would have been a 50 pip difference. So if you hadn't have understood how to look at the price on your chart, right, straight away, right, you're going to be in like, well, at least $5 drawdown if you took a 0.01 before the trade's even at entry. So if it then went and hit stop loss, you're giving yourself an extra 50 pips. Okay, so that's why it's super important not to just jump straight in. Look at the chart. Now, what you could have done if you understood what a buy limit was, you could have set up a pending order, waited for the market to come down, and boom, it automatically would have taken the trade for you. Okay? So let's come back over to my slides. Are there any questions about pending orders? Again, I know I'm kind of going at like rapid fire pace, but like there's just so much to cover. But if you guys have any questions, please, like at any time, drop them into the chat box. Okay, cool. So let's come back over to my slides here. We're super lucky. My son is still awake, for those of you who I have a 15-month-old. He's usually in bed by now, but he would not go to sleep. I don't know if you can hear him. He's pretty happy with Miss Rachel on right now in the backgrounds. But cool, let's keep going. So very, very quickly, before I go over to MetaTrader 5, let me actually join on my phone. I should have done this before, so I can make myself co-host. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Let me join on my phone. And then we'll actually go over to MetaTrader 5 and demonstrate this. What am I trying to do? The link. There we go. Okay. Join. Okay, cool.
Recording in progress.
Okay, so before I actually go over to MetaTrader 5, just very, and again, we spoke about this a lot last week if you were on, but just when it comes to trading successfully long term, these are really the four things that are going to determine whether or not you are successful here. Okay, so first and foremost, trading without a clear plan. If you're just jumping into the market every day willy-nilly and you don't actually know what you're working towards, you're going to probably end up over trading, like taking way too many trades. You're probably going to end up giving money back to the market because you didn't know when to stop. Okay, so next week, it's on my calendar, right? Actually, I was gonna do it today. Do you know what? Let's do it today. We're gonna go through how to do a trading plan today. And there's so many different ways to approach this, so I'm just gonna give you a couple ideas. But when you go into a new trading day, you should know exactly what your target is. Okay, again, it's like anything. Like if you start working with a personal trainer and you tell them, okay, like in the next 6 months, I want to lose, I don't know, 20 pounds, right? Whatever the case may be, the very first thing they're going to do for you is they're going to write you out a plan. It's probably going to include a detailed like meal prep, what you should be eating, and then different days, like what you should be targeting. Maybe one day's leg day, another day's cardio, whatever. But you're never going to start working with a personal trainer and they're just going to be like, oh, yeah, like go into the gym, like maybe go on the treadmill for 20 minutes and then, maybe just like go to a spin class, but eat whatever you want. Like it's just, it's not going to happen and you're not going to get results. Trading is the same. Okay. Second, risking too much money in a single trade. Again, you should be doing the same thing over and over and over again. If you all of a sudden decide, okay, yeah, actually DV trades, he's won his last like 5 trades in a row. So trade number 6, let me just like risk half of my account. If that's the one trade that hits stop loss, you've basically just blown half your account because you didn't stick to the plan. Letting your emotions influence your decisions. This one's a huge one. This one actually is probably the number one reason why people fail when it comes to trading. And I can say that like from 5 years of experience working with thousands of people who have started trading and quit trading. And the people who quit are the people who are too emotional and they've blown multiple accounts because they can't get their emotions in check. It will be the reason you aren't here in 6 months if you let your emotions influence what you're doing in the markets on a daily basis. And just ignoring basic risk management. Like, I mean, I just gave you a kind of breakdown of what you could do with our signals, okay? Splitting your risk across your entries, using the risk calculator. Those are just basic risk management tools that you should be using every single day, right? You should have that, lot size calculator favorited. You could have it on your homepage of your phone. Like it should be somewhere prominent where you can be using it every day. Okay, so let's actually come over and go to MetaTrader 5. I did promise someone last week, I'm not sure if he's on here, but I promised I would show how to kind of trail your stop loss. So let me just, I'm just going to get up my demo account so I can actually just take a couple sample trades so we can, sorry guys, I should have done this before. Do I even have, oh shoot. Oh, there we go. Is this, oh, I haven't used it in such a long time. I think it's disappeared. Sorry, guys. I should have checked this before. Okay. I'm just going to have to use this one, even though I think I let a trade run and it's... Anyways, whatever. We're just going to use this one. So let me share my screen. And I'm just going to show you a few features. I'm not going to spend too much time because, like I said, we now have some amazing tutorials that are in our back office. So I'll show you guys where you can find those as well. If you have not watched those before, let me also... Hold on, I'm just going to mute my notifications because I'm getting some notifications. Let me just do not disturb. Okay, guys, sorry, drop a 2 if you can see my screen because I can still see my PowerPoint, but can you guys see my screen? You should be able to see my my MetaTrader 5 now. Just let me know in the chat box. Amazing. Okay, perfect. So first things first, just a few little like things on MetaTrader 5 if you're not super familiar with it yet. In the top right-hand corner where you see the little search, that is where you can add pairs. So let's say, for example, we got, I don't know, an Ethereum signal, which you can see is not on my quotes page. If I wanted to take that signal, I would go to the little search and I would just type in whatever it is I was wanting to trade. Okay, so you can see ETH/USD. I would go ahead and click the little bubble, and now it is going to be at the bottom of my quotes page. I am very um, I like things neat and tidy, so I don't like to have a lot of clutter on my quotes page. If you're only trading a few pairs, like I then, if you want to delete some, because when you first connect your live account, you're going to probably see this whole page is going to be filled, and a lot of it you're never ever going to trade. So in the top left-hand corner where like those little lines are, you can click that, and then it'll show you the pencil. Click the pencil, and you can now delete stuff as well. Okay, so this is the first thing I do with the new account. I will go and I'll delete all of the pairs and I will add just the pairs that I trade. So let's say I want to delete AUD CAD. Actually, I'm going to delete ETHUSD because I never trade it. And I'll delete, and now it's there. Okay, so just a couple little things that I find help me, especially when it comes to taking signals and you got to do things quickly. You don't want a really cluttered quotes page and you're trying to like search for the pairs you want to trade. Okay, so let's go through the steps for the trade that we just got. I'm actually going to go, I can't really go back on there, but the entry price here, let me go to the chart right now. Okay. I'm gonna have to make up a signal. I'm gonna type one into the chat box just so we can kind of practice. So let's say, for example, we get a trade right now and it tells us to buy XAUUSD. Okay, and the entry is between 4,700 to 4,703. Okay, so the first thing I would do, okay, is I would come onto my chart, which again, I'm just going to repeat how you do that. So I would come and I would click on XAUUSD and I would click chart. Okay, that's going to bring me here. So I can see price currently is actually at 47.05. Okay, so I am a bit above entry. So I've got two options here. I can leave it, right? Because it's actually already gone into 20 pips profit, or I can wait to see if it pulls back into my entry zone, and then I can go ahead and I can execute the trade. Okay, but see over on the side where like the little, is this X? No, I've literally just made that up. Please do not take that. I just made that up off the cuff for this example. Okay, so do not take that trade. Okay, I'm doing this as an example. Again, to be clear, this is a demo account. This is not a trade. Okay, so you can see over on the right, it's at 47.06. Okay, so if this were to pull back into my, no, I mean this is execute, right? Not the waiting one. Oh, market execution. Yeah, market execution. Yeah. The other one is pending order. So if it was a buy limit or, okay, cool. Are we going to buy stop execution? No. No. I mean, I couldn't do a buy stop here because price is above my entry. I would need to do a buy limit. But guys, okay, let me finish explaining. Okay. So currently, if it's at 47.06 and my entry is 47, what did I just put there? 03, right? I would just wait for it to pull back because gold can literally do that in a fraction of a second. It could pull back to my entry and I could execute. Okay? If the entry was like way the heck down here, like let's say that the price given was like 46.86, okay, cool. Yeah, I can do a buy limit because I have to wait for price to come way down here, right? So we've executed the buy though. We're going to pretend, okay, we're in the trade. Okay. Now with golds, again, there's lots of different ways to take signals, but I personally execute my trades first because I want to get in, right, as quickly as possible. And then I can come back and I can modify my trade. So I can add my stop loss, I can add my take profit. In order to do that, there's two different ways. First way is I can just literally click, oops, what have I done here? Here we go. I just click that dotted blue line and you can see at the bottom, this little box pops up. Okay, so I can drag it up here and I can click stop loss, and now I could type, oh no, my ring light. I could type in the stop loss price down here. Okay, see where it says SL? Okay, and I could type it in here. So again, I'm gonna make up a stop loss. So it's gonna be, I don't know, 695. And then I can also add my take profit. So let's say my take profit is gonna be, I don't know, 47.10. And then I can go ahead and click modify. Okay, now you can see my TP is here. Actually, this is a good opportunity. If I want to move my TP up, I would just drag, click the blue arrow at the bottom and click modify. Sorry, I did that really quickly just because I didn't want it to close. So I'm going to repeat that. Okay, so if you ever need to modify your trade, so if you wanted to move your TP up, or if you wanted to set your TP, again, you would just click the trade. This box here opens up and you can see where it says TP on the left with the green tick, and you can see SL on the right with the red tick. You can add it there. Now, if I'm wanting to go break even, okay, so let's say I have a trade that's just closed. It's closed at TP1, and this is my entry I've got left, and I want to go risk free. I would just literally click on the stop loss. I would drag it up. I usually put it just a little bit above my entry price, just because, then I don't have to see red. Even if it closes, I'm going to make a few cents. Okay. So I would drag it up, and then down at the bottom, you can see, oh, it's not going to let me do it now because I'm right at entry price. But if this pushes up, that little arrow in the bottom right is going to be blue. Come on, push up. There we see it. See how it's blue right in the bottom right corner? So I will click it, and now I could click modify. Well, when it's blue, again, we're literally right at where I dragged it, so it's not letting me. Okay, but that's one way to move your stop loss to break even. You just click and you drag. Now you can do the same thing. Like if this moves up into profit, I can also drag my stop loss into profit, right? See how now it's like positive $10? Obviously, I can only do that when price is above it, but this is how you can easily just trail your stop loss behind you, right? The more you go into profit, you could just keep moving that stop loss up, so you're guaranteeing yourself profit even if the trade were to reverse. Can we do multiple TP? No. You can't, you can only have one take profit. This is why when I was explaining, if I just go back to my previous slide, with one trade idea, you would take multiple entries. If you were wanting to have one come out at TP1, one come out at TP2, have another set per TP5, you would take 3 separate trades for one trade idea. Okay, so that's why I was explaining splitting your risk across the entries, so that way you can set multiple take profits. Does that make sense? Okay, so last thing I want to show you, if you didn't want to take multiple entries and you just wanted to take one big entry, so let's say, for example, the example I gave of the $1,000 and risking 2% was a 0.03. Let's say I didn't want to take 3 0.01s. I was just okay with watching the charts and monitoring my trade. If I wanted to take partial profits, okay, so right now, obviously, this trade is in profit. So I can click on it here and click close position. And up here at the top where my lot size is, I can just close half of that. So this is a 0.02. So I would change that to 0.01. And now I can close half the trade. Okay, so see, now what's left is 0.01. So I've secured part of the profit. I could actually now come over. I've already secured profit. Let me move my stop loss to break even. This is my favorite position as a trader. I've bagged profit. My stop loss is now break even. I'm risk free. So I can just, go about my day and not even think about the trade. And hopefully I get a notification and say, take profit achieved by PU Prime. Okay. Can you show, of course, which part? Moving my stop loss or taking partials? Okay, so moving my stop loss, you just literally drag. Okay, so if I drag it up, I click the blue arrow and then I click modify. Now to take partials, So close part of your trade. You would come to here where you can obviously see your trade running. You will click on it, or you could swipe to the left and click the tick with the circle. Either way, right? I just click on it. It's easy. And then click close position. Okay. And right now, because I'm only have a 0.01, I can't actually close half. But let's say, for example, your trade was like a 0.05 and you wanted to close part of that. You could put that down to, I don't know, 0.02, and that's going to close a third of your trade. So it completely depends what your lot size was. If your lot size was a 0.10 and you wanted to close half of it, you would change that to 0.05 and it would close half of your position. Okay. All right, guys, are there any more questions about MetaTrader 5? And I think I'm actually probably going to end there. I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover. And I need to get my son to bed. He is very much past his bedtime and he's in like a Miss Rachel coma over there. So, oh, look, that just hit TP. Happy days. Okay, any questions, guys? I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just come back over to the actual Zoom. And I think I answered everything in the chat box. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Well, I think we are going to end there for the evening. So last thing I want to say, guys, is number one, if you got some value today, I very much hope you will come back the same time next week. Okay, so week 3, I do a training, what I call Trader's Toolkit, and that's basically how you should start your week as a trader, like what you want to be doing, looking at the economic news, like things you should be looking for. And yeah, so that hopefully you'll come back next week. So sorry, I'm just seeing a few more questions. Where can I see past live sessions? So Jude, on Prime Stream, all of the sessions moving forward are going to kind of be automatically recorded and uploaded onto Prime Stream. If you want past sessions, you would need to maybe ask the educators themselves. Like I know Donnie has a whole list on his YouTube from past sessions. So yeah, so maybe just reach out to the person you joined with and they can maybe help you find that. I don't know if there's a way to circulate it. But yeah, but going forward, all of the sessions are going to automatically be recorded. Okay. Amazing, Helen. Love to hear it. I think I saw another question. Can I ask the videos to Donnie's sessions are on what? Can I ask the videos to Donnie's sessions are on what? I'm a bit confused by that question. Donnie, I mean, you mean on the scanner, the indicator? I don't really understand that question. If you could maybe clarify. But Ravita, you can always message me privately as well. But yeah, so guys, I'm gonna end there so I can go get my son to bed. I hope you guys have gotten some value from today. No, the ones you linked on the Telegram from January. So those are his live sessions. So he, I think I know the ones you're talking about. So yeah, those are just his live sessions. I mean, they're value because you can look back and obviously see how the trades played out. But yeah, I personally would just watch his SMC course. All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, hope you have a phenomenal rest of your evening, and I hope I see all 50 of you back next week. Take care, guys. Bye.